You think your adult life is being run by adult decisions. It isn't. A child is making far more of your choices than you realize. This session is for everyone who has ever felt insecure in a room they had every right to be in. For anyone who has felt overlooked, even when people were looking. For anyone who has felt alone in the middle of company. For anyone who grew up in a house where you had to read the air before you spoke. For anyone who learned early to keep parts of yourself hidden so you could stay safe. For anyone who became very good at being whoever the room needed and slowly forgot what they actually wanted. If any of this lands, stay with me. What you are about to hear is going to explain something about you that you have carried for years without being able to name. Something that has been quietly running underneath your decisions, your relationships, your career, your money, your body, your sleep. Something that has been with you so long that you have learned to call it your personality. It is not your personality. It is older than that. You are not who you think you are. You are a child wearing the body and resume of an adult, and the child is running the operation from underneath. This is not metaphor. The part of you that froze at the moment, something happened that could not be processed. That part never grew up. It stayed there. And it has been running large stretches of your life ever since, without you knowing. It does not look like a child. It looks like your personality. It looks like the shrinking that happens when someone in authority enters the room. The flash of panic when a person you depend on is briefly displeased with you. The pull toward people who carry the same blind spots as the people who raised you. The fear of confrontation that is much bigger than the conflict in front of you. These are not your traits. They are old solutions to old problems, solutions that became automatic. Solutions that you stopped questioning because they had become indistinguishable from who you were. A solution becomes a personality if it runs long enough without anyone questioning it. You have not been questioning it. You have been performing it. Carl Jung spent his life describing this. He saw it in nearly every patient who came through his consulting room. Different positions, different backgrounds, different levels of success, and inside almost all of them, the same finding, a part that had not finished growing. He called it the child. Sometimes the divine child, carrying the original possibility. Sometimes the abandoned one, carrying the original wound. Same figure, two faces, still inside you, still in charge. The signal that the child is in the room is mismatch. When the size of your reaction does not match the size of what triggered it, the reaction is not for the situation. It is for an older one that this situation only resembles. A short message produces hours of internal scenario building. A small disappointment ruins a week. A neutral remark from someone whose approval matters cannot be put down. Twice the size of what happened means half of it is leftover. The leftover is what we are looking at. It shows up in who you keep choosing. Partners who replicate the original house. Friends who reproduce the original dynamic. Bosses whose approval feels suspiciously familiar. You call this bad luck, or your type, but it is neither. It is the part of you that has been quietly selecting environments where the old pattern can keep being played out. Because the plane is the only path the child knows toward the resolution that was never reached. The selection happens below consciousness, which is why the result feels less like choice and more like life happening to you. It shows up at the threshold. You arrive at the edge of something you wanted, and then you undo it. You miss the call. You pick a fight with the person whose support you needed. You withdraw at the last moment. The undoing is not random. It is the old rule, enforced by the part of you that learned very early that wanting too much, getting too close, being too visible was unsafe. The decision was made then, and it has not been retired since. It runs as authoritatively now as it did the day it was set. This is why most adult attempts at change fail. You decide to be different. You make a plan. You commit. And a few weeks in, the plan collapses, and you conclude that you lack discipline. You do not lack discipline. You've been working at the wrong layer. The plan was at the level of the adult, but the collapse came from the level of the child, and the child has veto power over every project the adult attempts. The veto operates quietly, producing the small detours that look like circumstance, and that are, in fact, the old rule still running. The adult lives, Jung said, half consciously and half unconsciously. The unconscious half is the larger of the two. The adult who has never met the child is being lived by him. The adult who has met him is not free of him. He is, finally, in conversation with him. The conversation is the entire shift, not freedom from the part. The end of the silent rule by the part. There is a particular reason the child resists being met. It is not pathology. It is logic. The strategy is the only thing he has. If the strategy is retired, the part of him that was protected by the strategy is exposed. The exposure feels, to him, like the original danger. The original danger has passed. He has no way of knowing that. The job of the adult is to give him reason to know. The costs of this run through every part of your life you can measure. The position you did not pursue, because the part of you that decides to pursue was told early not to be too much. The opportunity you weighed down with reasonable concerns until it passed. The price you cannot bring yourself to charge. The amounts that feel like too much to ask. The financial life operating within a range a child set in a context that has been gone for years. The mode is the child's, still running the bank account he set up before he could spell. The conversations you do not have because you do not want to risk a moment of disapproval. The opinions you soften before they leave your mouth. The needs you do not name because needing was treated as inconvenience in the original house. The intimacy you cannot reach because reaching that close means being seen, and being seen is what the old rule forbade. The shoulders that lift slightly before a hard conversation. The jaw that locks before you walk into a room you do not want to be in. The body is enforcing the same prohibition the mind is enforcing. The rule lives in the nervous system before it lives in the thoughts. There is something that needs to be said here, plainly. The child did not need perfection. The child needed protection. And when protection failed, perfection became the substitute. The high standard. The unrelenting work ethic. The inability to ever feel done. These are not character traits. They are the bargain the child struck when no one was coming to make him safe. If I become impossible to fault, no one can leave me. If I produce enough, I will earn the safety I should have been given for free. The standard never relaxes because the bargain never closes. There is no amount of perfection that retroactively delivers the protection that was needed then. The child cannot be reasoned with from above. You cannot lecture him out of the rule. You have tried, and you know by now that it does not work and cannot. He responds to one thing only, which is direct attention from someone who is not going to leave. That someone has to be you. Not the parent who failed to provide it back then. Not anyone else who happens to be in the room with you now. The version of you that is here, with resources he did not have, finally able to do what no one could do back then. Stay. There are concrete moves that begin this work. First, learn to recognize when the child has shown up. The signal, again, is mismatch. When the size of your response does not fit the trigger, the part is in the room. Do not act on the reaction. Stop. Name what is happening, internally, in plain language. This is old. This is the unfinished part. This is not for the person in front of me. The naming alone creates a small space between the adult who is having the experience and the part that is producing it. That space is the entire precondition for the work that follows. Without the space, the reaction wins automatically. With the space, you can choose. Second, build a daily practice of contact. Before the day begins, take a few minutes alone. No phone, no input, no agenda, and sit with one question. Which part of me is afraid today? You will not get an answer the first morning, and you may not get one the first week, but you sit with the question anyway. After enough mornings, an answer arrives, often as an image rather than as a sentence. When it comes, do not analyze it and do not give it advice. Acknowledge it. Say, internally, I see you. I am here. The acknowledgement is what the part has been waiting for, and you have spent your life doing the opposite, leaving the parts of yourself the moment they brought up an uncomfortable feeling. The leaving kept the rule active. The staying begins to loosen it. Third, identify the rule the child has been enforcing and write it down. The rule is almost always one sentence, short and absolute. I cannot want too much. I cannot need anyone. I must stay invisible. I must perform to be loved. I cannot trust softness. The decision was accurate then, and the conditions it was protecting against were real, but the conditions have changed and the rule has not. Until you name it explicitly, it operates as fact. Once you name it, you have the option of testing it against current conditions. Disobeying it once will not retire it. Disobeying it repeatedly, gently, in acts that the part can survive, begins to teach the part that has been enforcing it that the old danger no longer requires the old defense. There is a fourth move that compounds the first three. When the part has shown up, place one hand on your own chest. Keep it there for the length of a slow breath. This is not technique, it is signal. The body has been waiting, for as long as the rule has been running, for someone to be present in it on this part's behalf. The hand is the presence. The breath is the staying. The signal lands in the nervous system below the level of words, where the original rule was written, in the language the system actually speaks. There is something Jung pointed at, repeatedly, that runs against everything our culture tells us about healing. The greatest mistake people make is believing healing means becoming someone new. Jung believed the opposite. Healing is becoming who you were before adaptation became your identity. You are not trying to invent a different person. You are trying to recover the one who was there before the rule was set. The work is not addition, it is removal. Remove the strategy, remove the mask, remove the performance. What remains is what was there in the first place, waiting underneath. The original you was not destroyed, he was buried. The work is the excavation. There is a particular doorway Jung paid close attention to, which is the doorway of dreams. The unfinished part speaks most clearly in the images that arrive when the daytime defenses are down, a figure that returns across weeks, a scene that is not yours but feels yours, a small one you are trying to find or lose or rescue or hide. These are not random. Jung treated them as direct communication from the parts of the psyche that have no other way of speaking. You do not need to interpret them academically. You need to take them seriously enough to write them down when they arrive, and to ask, in the morning, what part of you is speaking. The asking, even without a clear answer, sends a signal back. Someone is listening. The part has been waiting for that signal for years. There is another doorway, less mysterious and more available. The doorway of silence. The unfinished one cannot be heard over noise. He has been speaking for years and being drowned out by input. The phone, the conversation, the music, the open browser, the constant low-grade stimulation that fills the gaps in your day. None of this is neutral. Each input keeps the part below the threshold of audibility. If you cannot tolerate being alone with yourself in silence for 15 minutes, the question is not what is wrong with you. The question is what the silence keeps trying to say that you have been working hard to not hear. The silence is where the part begins to surface. The intolerance is the strength of the original rule still in force. There is a second image Jung kept returning to, which is the image of the divine child. He noticed that the child in his patient's material did not always appear as wounded. Sometimes the child appeared luminous, carrying something. Gold, light, a small treasure. This was, in Jung's reading, the same part seen from the other side. The unfinished part holds not only the wound that froze it, it also holds the original possibility that was being protected when the rule was set. The thing you most fully are, before the conditions made you smaller. The work is not to fix the wounded one. The work is to receive both, the wound that was suffered and the gift that was preserved. The two are the same figure. He is carrying both for you in the dark and has been waiting for someone to come and take the gold off his hands. There is a scene most of those who do this work eventually recognize in themselves. You are in a meeting or a conversation or a moment that is not particularly important. Something shifts. Your voice lifts. You laugh at a joke you did not find funny. You agree to a deadline you cannot meet. You back down from a position you had every right to hold. You leave the room feeling small in a way you cannot explain. That was not the meeting. That was the part inside taking the controls in the moment the original threat was simulated, and you watching it happen. There is also a fiction that has been quietly running alongside all of this, the fiction of who you would have been without it. The unwounded version of you, somewhere, living the larger life that the rule kept you from. The fiction is a ghost. There is no such version. There is just you, and a comparison you have been running against an imagined self who does not exist. The work is not to recover that person. The work is to stop spending the years comparing the actual you to a fiction, and to begin building the larger life from where you actually stand, with the resources the actual you actually has. The earlier version of you who set the rule was working with what was available. He did not know what you know now. He built the strategy in conditions you no longer inhabit. He kept you safe long enough that you became an adult who could, finally, come back for him. You are not against him. You are the one he has been waiting for. What surfaces, after months of this work, is something Jung described in nearly every long case he wrote about. The disproportionate reactions begin to shrink, not because they have been suppressed, because the part producing them is no longer alone. The patterns of attraction begin to shift, slowly, often without the adult noticing for the first months. The self-sabotage at thresholds loosens. The adult arrives at the edge of what he wants and can stay there long enough for the wanting to be acted on, rather than undone in the last moment. You stop confusing old fear with present reality. You stop building your life around defending against threats that no longer exist. The room of your life feels less crowded because the part of you that was standing between you and almost every choice is finally standing beside you instead of in front of you. There is a quieter shift that arrives later, around the 6th or 7th month, that is harder to name. The internal voice softens. The harshness that arrived automatically when you made a mistake, when you felt a need, when you fell short of the standard the rule had set, begins to recede. The space that opens up where the harsh voice used to be is the space the part has been waiting for. You become someone whose own company is, for the first time, not draining. The internal weather, which had been overcast for as long as you can remember, starts to break. There is also a physical shift, slower than the internal one but more durable. The shoulders, which had been carrying something they could not name, begin to lower. The breath, which had been held at the top of the chest, begins to reach the belly. The chronic low-grade muscular tension, which you had learned to call your normal state, releases in pieces. You sleep differently. You wake differently. The body had been performing the same job. The rule was performing, bracing against a danger that ended long ago, and the body had been doing it alone. When the rule loosens, the body loosens with it. The child inside you was never asking to take over your life. He was asking to stop surviving it alone. The moment you answer that request, your future stops repeating your past.